This is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Welcome to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. I'm your host, Mark Gunn. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and not necessarily reflective of anyone or any entity associated with this broadcast. This episode, a new conversation with some very old friends. This episode features an interview I had with R&B group Troop. They were really big back in the 1980s with songs like Mamacita, All I Do Is Think of You, and Spread My Wings. They're here in Louisville for a benefit event for the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and we had a chance to get caught up on where they've been and what they're doing now. The People Station, 104.7 WLOU, streaming live, WLOUFM.com. How you living? It's Mark Gunn. We are posted up at the Norton Healthcare Sports and Learning Center, getting ready for tonight's Sundresses, Seersucker, and Stilettos event, the fundraiser for the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, the Theta Omega chapter, and headlining this afternoon's festivities, a group of young men that I have not seen in quite a while. I always talk about, if you're in radio long enough, there's a 6 degrees of separation relationship that happens with a lot of artists that you run across. And Troop is definitely one of those 6 degrees of separation. So just to give you a little background, we first met back in like 87, 88 when you guys first came out. WJYL was the station. It was an outdoor concert / basketball. Well, it was actually a pickup game. And y'all kicked our asses. It was disgraceful. And this was before y'all even took the stage. Okay. Wow. We're going to go through the history in a little bit, but just to complete this story, jump to 1988-ish, 89-ish. You guys were on a bit of a break. And Steve Russell had ventured off into more writing and producing. Yeah. I was working at a radio station in San Francisco. We had a mutual friend in Louis Burrell, who was the brother of Stanley Burrell, a.k.a. Hammer.
Hammer.
And the last time I saw Steve, I was visiting Louis, and you were working in one of the studios.
Yeah, on the Deep album.
Right.
Third album.
So, again, 6 degrees of separation, and then your name would come up in conversations with different friends of mine, writers and producers. The stuff that was done with your other producing, and basically all of you had gone off to doing separate things. But just to get everybody caught up, Alan McNeil, Rodney Benford, Stephen Russell, John Harold, and you can't go without mentioning Reggie One, who we lost last year. So rest in power to him. Yes. Welcome back to Louisville, fellas.
Hey, thanks for having us.
It was good.
Yeah, back to the bill.
Yes, sir.
To the beginning, you're talking about 360 degrees of separation.
Right.
Yeah, that's where we.
This is
coming back here is
our first stop. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
This was our first stop.
So this was this was way back in the day. So we're talking about the beginnings of the group. You guys actually won a lip syncing contest, putting on the hits. Took home $1,000. Ended up getting signed with Atlantic Records.
Yep.
And you end up working with a couple of friends of mine. Again, it's that whole 6 degrees of separation thing. Gerald Levert on the first single, Mamacita. And then you ended up working with Chucky Booker.
Great.
And after several number 1 hits, gold and platinum albums, craziness as far as the touring and everything was concerned. Yeah. We're laughing. It's like, okay, we can't get into that because this is a PG show, ladies and gentlemen. So let's fast forward. Well, first of all, how's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing good.
Y'all good?
Doing well.
Yeah. You look good, man.
Thank you.
You're looking good.
Look at yourself, man.
Time catches up with all of us. So, all right. So you end up taking a little bit of a hiatus, and again, you went off to do separate projects and everything. What, between then and 2013, what took y'all so long, man, to come back?
Well, we had such of a rush in the sense of energetically just, all of the preparing to become Troop and becoming Troop, the big tours and traveling all over the world. and and even just growing as individuals. Once we were able to take a break to find out who you were and what your life is really about, it took that kind of time for us to say, okay, let's do something else, man. Are we ready now? It's just like a life break, you have decisions in this journey, and one of ours was to, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's find out who we are and what we're doing. Let's discover who we really are with this creating that we're doing, and that's what it was about, just taking a life rest, a break.
Now, typically, when bands or groups do this, they step away from the business totally.
Yeah.
But you guys didn't do that.
No.
No, I think. Go ahead, Rick.
No, go ahead.
That was something I don't think we were gonna do. All the guys here, including Reggie, we just based in R&B and music and touring. It was just kind of. We were talking about it today, John, Steve, and Rodney. We were just talking about our whole journey was kind of magical. A lot of groups by this time have dissolved.
We didn't like each other.
We like Steve said, taking that sabbatical and taking that time to really find out who you are as a person. It also gave you time to find out who was next, who they were.
Right.
Me and Rod even got closer during that time because we were forced and put in a position to really talk to one another and find out who is he, who have I been really on the stage with for 30 years
outside of the stage.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's showbiz life and there's real life. So you had a chance to really learn about each other in real life.
I'm gonna tell you about the real life is not the showbiz. Like Alan said, we were put there, and we did our jobs. We performed, we handled our business, and as a young cat, you don't understand that that's not enough. That's not what it is.
Right.
There's way more to that, and sometimes you can look up, and with the reality part of life, you can be 10 years behind by the time you say, you can be 10 years behind with reality. You up on it with the game with music and industry, you right there, but in real life, by the time you look up sometimes, maybe you be like 10 years behind.
Wow.
Sometimes your mental isn't caught up with what's actually going on in your life.
Right.
You ain't got to deal with it as much because you're a superstar.
So when Steve's talking about we needed that break, we kind of asked each other for it. Really.
Oh, okay.
Like, can we just pause
Go to
for
our
a
separate
minute?
corners for a second.
And that's I think you said something exactly like that. That we need to go to our separate corners for a minute and really chill out, assess what's going on.
Figure this thing out.
Now let's come back at it and strategically do what we need to do.
Okay, well, what we'll do.
We just felt like at that time,
Yeah.
it was time for us to make that decision to go ahead to come back as a group to do what we do.
We're going to talk about that reuniting of Troop coming up in just a little bit. Plus, we've got another look at what's happening with your Wavestorm team forecast. You'll also be hearing from Chaka Khan, Heavy D and the Boys, and Chic. It's the original soul of Louisville, 104.7 WLOU. Once again, you're listening to part of a radio broadcast from my show earlier this afternoon on WLOU AM and FM. You can stream the radio station at WLOUFM.com. We are the original soul of Louisville, and we've got more of our conversation right after this. If you're an advertiser, one of the most important things about getting your message out is actually standing out from the rest of the crowd. If you're listening to this program right now, this is where you'd hear your commercial. As an exclusive sponsor of Gunshots Straight from the Hip, your commercial is professionally produced and gets a longer shelf life based on your needs. Gunshots Straight from the Hip is a unique and compelling program unlike anything else in the marketplace. Episodes are available for download on iTunes, TuneIn, and MarkGunMedia.com. And depending on how you tailor your message, the potential for new and repeat customers is that much greater. Best of all, it's extremely cost-effective. If you'd like more information on how you can be a sponsor of this broadcast, call Mark Gun Media Inc. at 502-407-0283. That's 502-407-0283. Or log on to MarkGunMedia.com. For downloads of this and past episodes and information about all the multimedia services we offer, log on to our website at www.markgunmedia.com. That's markgunmedia.com. All right, here's part 2 of the conversation that I had with Troop, who is in town for a benefit for the Omega Psi-Phi fraternity. This was on my show at WLOU Radio. This is actually the longer form. A lot of this is stuff that actually did not make it to air. So enjoy. Kicking it with Troop, we were talking about the beginnings, the success, and then right up to the point to where they decided to take a break. But 2013, you guys came back together for an album and a brief tour, right?
Yeah, we did well, actually what we did is we released a new single on a compilation called the B-Sides. I think that's what Forever was on.
Oh, okay.
And we dropped a video and single for that, just to get back on the road and just get working again.
Right.
You know, which it did help us do. So thank God for that. And we've released since then. You know, we've released several compilations and new music, but we're independent now, so it's a different game. You know,
right,
on the independent side. But our fans, they follow us, so they, you know, the people who are really into what we're doing, they know, and they get it and support.
Yeah. And with the independence, I know you launched a record label not very long ago, and a project. And I don't know how much you want to talk about this because it was just released back in February. The making of a boy band, the story of Troop.
Tales of a Boy.
Tales of a Boy Band. Yeah.
That's actually out right now on Tubi. It's streaming on Tubi.
Oh, okay.
It's a 5-episode series where everybody has their own hour documentary telling their own story. It's like, it's amazing. I love it. You know, I'm a part of it, and just as a fan of Troop myself, it was amazing for me to hear Alan's story and Rodney's story and John. It was just amazing. It was so much therapy to hear everybody's story, because when you're going through something, all you know is your own version and what's affecting you. So it's pretty good, but it's doing really well. It's streaming, like I said, it's on Tubi, and it's doing really well. Everybody go check that out.
Definitely, Tales of a Boy Band, the story of Troop. Yeah, and I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, there's a whole lot of truth telling here. There's some y'all been through some stuff, man.
I like to call it unsung on steroids.
Right.
Troop's unsung story. This is like a way of broadcast.
And it's more, you know, it's a whole lot of stuff that wasn't told. We probably can do another 4 or 5 of these.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is just, just a rendition and a part of our journey. Us older, looking back at being, 17, 16, and 19,
and all that pressure that was put on us at that time. You think you're ready at 19.
Right.
This is a lot.
Right.
Oh yeah, we got thrown in a business that we did not know how to navigate in.
And that is a story of so many acts, especially back in then. It was like the industry was a factory. It was a meat grinder for a lot of R&B groups. Yeah. And then you had, you were right in that period where hip hop was starting to become a little more prevalent.
Yeah.
And I've always hesitated to call you guys a boy band because I never really saw you guys as that.
Okay.
But you were on that wave of that genre, slowly but surely phasing out. But at the same time, you were also doing cameos in movies. You were appearing in soundtracks.
Yeah.
So that pressure that you were under the labels and under management kept you working and kept you in front of people.
Question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so what was the impetus for the documentary in the first place?
Well, we just we wanted to own our own story in the sense of telling it the way we want to tell it, and this is the age of reality TV.
Right.
Music is, everything is changing, so you have to source yourself and create in different ways. You know what I mean?
And it was also, kind of like, to add to Steve saying, the way the industry is set up now, it was also a way for us to give to it, give to it ourselves. You know what I mean? To give to it, to give to the story, to share some of these feelings and thoughts of how things are thinking, of how we were developing and the things that we were going through. It's kind of, at first I was a little hesitant.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot to
bare your soul.
To
like
bare
that.
yourself,
Yeah.
or when I watched Rodney's episode, he just really touched me. I didn't know that he felt a certain way. So I caught myself saying, "Whoa, okay, whoa, okay."
Real, you know?
And then people are real and really go through stuff, and really have thoughts that you might not even know that they're having issues with.
And to that point, when I was watching it, I'm like, and these brothers are still working together?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Damn.
yeah, it's deep.
Because you got to realize we were 18, 19, 20 years old.
Right.
This is 30 years later. You know what I mean? So,
But you know what? Not to cut you off, Steve. It's like a relationship with your wife, with your girl. How many times have your wife talked? Excuse my language. Ish.
Right.
And you went back to her. How many times have she found out you done some ish and she went back to you? What's the difference with a group? It's no difference. We just ain't doing certain things that you do with your wife. But what's the difference, man? It's a relationship, and it's gonna go, and if it's true love, you're gonna go back to that person straight up, man.
And go ahead.
I'd like to add on to that. I have a brother, 2 sisters, and what family don't?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, but I've come to go ahead and to know about these brothers and to learn about them even more than my family. So it's like you have this bond that just can't break. You know what I mean?
Right. I had
we
nowhere
started
to go,
something,
really, though.
so this is just what it is.
Where was I going?
Who the Muncie and
Where was I going?
Where'd you go?
I have to go apologize. I'm sorry. I have to. I won't go
We
nowhere.
put a
man.
lot of energy into Troop. We put a lot of energy into 5 of a Kind.
Yeah.
We put a lot of momentum behind succeeding in this unit. So I know people that go through horrific things amongst each other, and I don't know if we compare it to that.
Did you guys sign up the security desk when you guys came in?
I thought you did this.
I signed it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, man.
But what I was saying, the momentum that we put behind it, the best thing we could do in our now is remember all of that heartfelt joy we had rehearsing and eating bologna sandwiches and drinking Kool-Aid. The feeling that we had then, we need that now.
Right.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's smart for us to harness that energy and work off of that now, because it brings all of that energy into our now, all of that strong will, making it regardless. That energy is needed in the now.
And I think it depends on the person too, because when I started putting the group together, it was easy. So why can't I have that same energy 30 years later and make it easy still?
Right. Now,
Same
and
shit.
speaking of the now, I want you guys to put on your writer-producer hats. Within the industry, and you're also seeing this with consumers, and those of us that are radio station programmers, we talk about this a lot too. There was a survey that came out a couple of weeks ago that, long story short, said that the interest in new music by younger people is down year over year, 20 to 30%. They're just not feeling it anymore. And they're gravitating to more classic soul, more of the stuff that we played, more of the stuff that Troop did back in the day. And from the musician slash writer slash producer, which I've dabbled in during my time in radio, so I have a little bit of a clue. Hence, you're seeing me coming in and out of recording studios. Is it a and I'll let you guys answer this. Is it a lack of creativity? Is it too much pressure from the bean counters at record companies that say, this was successful, give me another that? Is it a lack of education by artists? Is it all of the above, or is it something else?
Well, it's some of all of the above almost, but we have to remember that the people that run record labels do not create music. These are not music people. So whatever makes money is what their concern is. And once we as a creator, once we start to back off the creativity to be a part of the beans and it not be a part of the musical process, that's where we lose. When we came up, you had a musician, you had everybody that was a genius joined together like a nucleus. You had a bass player that was magical, you had a keyboard player that was magical. All of these different energies with the drummer that you bring in, all of these energies creates a magic that's just not created when you have somebody just playing the bass, and there's magic that's missing in the music.
Right.
And that's why it doesn't affect people the same way. There's an energy shift. A lower energy has arrived in music through hip hop that even in R&B now we're trying to emulate that same low frequency music so that we can thrive with the people, and it's just not the same love, high energy that created the music we love in the first place. The Commodores, Earth, Wind and Fire, Confunction, the Jacksons, Luther Vandross, Freddie Jackson, Stephanie Mills, O'Brien, Michael Jackson, Prince. It was magical because there was love in the music. You know, when Gerald Levert wrote songs, it was love in the music. When Chucky Booker writes and produces music, it's love in the music. That can't compare to a song that's only just meant for you to shake your behind to. It's total different energy.
For 2 or 3 months, and that's it.
And, and the human species, we still love. We come from love. Even if you forgot that, you are love. So you're gonna gravitate to love music at some point. Mom, what was that you used to play? Play some more of that. I like Heat Wave, you know? Because today's music, the substance is not the same. And I'm not down on any type of creativity. I like it all, it's whatever. But if there's an intent behind it, you're gonna get a different result than music that has no true intent behind it except for make money.
And there you go. So now that you guys are on the road again, are we to expect any new music from Troop?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. We've been shooting around ideas.
My only interest in that, to be honest, is, like I said, over the past 10 years, we've released so much new music. I'm wondering if new music is of interest to anybody.
Which circles around to what we just talked about.
All I do think of you, your song? I'm never going to create another one of those. Am I going to create something that you like, that it will even mean something to you in this day and age? This was at 16 when you were in love. This song is, you can't replace All I Do Is Think of You. To me, I think we should do videos and reamp those songs. If you ask me, the way music is, just re-release our hits.
And what about your roles as writers and producers? Where do you see that?
And then you had that side. So I understand where Steve's coming from, and that's not a bad concept at all. To redo take you back to what you know.
Right.
But the creativity, being creators, we're gonna continue to write and do new things and come up with new melodies and new ideas. I still get excited about that. I'm sure Steve just built a new studio. We still get excited about it, you know what I mean? So the music is just something naturally that's gonna flow, that's gonna come. Rodney's about to drop an album. Steve been dropping albums for a minute now. I got a new one coming. John,
Y'all all been dropping. Everybody's been dropping.
So creativity, we're gonna keep creating. But yeah, that might be a good idea to take them back to something. You can't get those feelings back when you were in high school. When you were in high school, walking home, you can't get them feelings back. So to revamp that song, and
it's just an interesting thought to me. You know, as a writer producer, you know, I'm always wondering. You know, you as a creator, you want to bring something to people. I know music has always been medicine for me, so that's my approach to it. Is where it helps in some kind of way. You know, but looking at our fans and being on tour and you seeing what they like, what I realize is that moment that was created is still a moment, and that's what we're doing when we're here. We're recreating and reliving that moment. Yeah. So we can get caught up and want to create and become a new troupe all we want to. We already had that moment.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say? That moment. When you think about being number one, what all I do is think of you. What else are you gonna do to come and be number one?
I know, to combat that. You know, that's the trick.
It's, you know,
that's the trick.
You know,
that's the trick.
It's like Michael Jackson doing all those records trying to be Thriller.
I mean,
that's why some people got one-hit wonders.
No, it's a trick. But look at Britney right now. You know, look at Britney and what she's been through. Number one in 40 countries.
Right.
After look at that hiatus.
Wow. And it wasn't necessarily about, in her case, not necessarily reinventing herself,
right?
But hooking up with the right people.
Yeah.
And to your point about Michael, my biggest complaint about him, speaking as a producer myself, is his failure to reinvent himself in his artistry. Mike, for all his flaws or foibles or whatever, was always ahead of the curve technologically speaking. I always look forward to a Michael Jackson record because what tech is he going to use?
He's going to be on a different...
But he couldn't take that same cutting edge and apply it to his performance. And so he was stuck in that hamster wheel trying to top what he had done with Thriller, and there was no way he was going to be able to do that.
And Mike being Mike, he didn't even have to do that. Because he's Mike. He had arrived at a place where everybody dreams of. He was that thing. Yeah. So all he had to do was be like Prince. And Prince, I love Prince so much because Prince got it. He wasn't hung up. He didn't care about your opinion, so he's going to create what he wants to create. He's going to reinvent himself, and you watch what he's doing. He's not trying to outdo Prince. He's not trying to do any of those things. And I think
that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Prince was able to do that.
Right.
Mike wasn't
with ease. Just dropping a record.
Mike
Prince was something else.
That reinvent. No, I'm Prince.
Right.
Yes.
All that reinventing for you to be satisfied.
It's like, no, that's not gonna happen.
That's too much work. That's too much work. I'm not gonna work.
But look at what it did to Michael to want to please and not knowing he had already reached the pinnacle. It did a lot. That was a lot of damage on him. Psychologically and everything to try to want to recreate. You're already Jackie Wilson, Frank Sinatra,
James Brown.
Where you
you're already all these people.
And then you have some of the heaviest hitters in the industry wanting to work with you. There is a story, a buddy of mine, and I'm sure you know him, Steve Lukather.
Yeah.
He talks about how he basically had to redo the rhythm track for Beat It because Eddie Van Halen messed around and messed up the sympathy code on the master when he was recording his solo.
Wow.
Just to get everybody inside baseball, the sympathy code on a record or on a song or on a piece of video is what syncs up the audio to the video or syncs up one track to the other. So back in the 80s, you didn't have digital technology, so you actually had to send your 2-inch master to wherever you had to send it. And so when Van Halen got a hold of it, he didn't like where the solo fell. So he did an edit on the master tape, put his solo in, and then when he sent it back, the sympathy code was messed up, so the other tracks wouldn't link. So Luke and Jeff Porcaro had to go in. They had to redo the rhythm track so that the solo would lock in and the rest of the tracks would lock in with the new stuff. So, so hopefully you understood what I'm saying. Basically, The cake got messed up because there was too much of one ingredient, so you had to redo the entire cake, if that makes more sense to you.
Yeah.
So, typically, if I go inside baseball, I try to explain what it is.
Okay.
So basically, when you have access to those type of people, and you find yourself, again, trying to please other folks, I think that was my only beef with Michael. Is his failure to reinvent himself. And then to your point...
So when you say that, what was you looking for? What would have satisfied you in his reinvention?
Be different in that he wasn't so formulaic.
In what he had created.
Because even though the textures and the music was all different, and it was different because of the incorporation of the technology, and the writing, he wasn't formulaic in his writing, but he was formulaic in the delivery of the material that he had written. So I think the biggest dichotomy as far as his recording goes, if you listen to, say, a Beat It, and then you jump forward to his last studio album, the Invincible album, and you listen to a track like You Rock My World. That was a divergence of styles for Michael. For me, that was encouraging because, one, he was working with Rodney Jerkins. Two, the delivery of the vocal, the overall performance was different. There wasn't a whole lot of the and a lot of the crutches he had fallen into as a vocalist. It was a different Michael.
A reinvention.
A slight reinvention, but it wasn't sustained. He went back to being safe.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why the Invincible album didn't land the way it should have, because it was, to me, it was one of his best albums because of the diversity of the music that was there.
Yeah.
And the diversity of performance that was there. This was the Michael Jackson that I had been looking for.
Yeah, just like when he came years before that with Remember the Time. When he came and Remember the Time, he came back. So and I'm only asking this just for people who listen to education, because we often, as consumers, have a lot of expectations, right? When you're in a place like a Michael Jackson and you come from Off the Wall, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, to Lady in My Life, Billie Jean, PYT,
right.
to Keep It in the Closet, Remember the Time. You're already delivering those expectations every time, but us as the consumer, we're never gonna get enough.
Right.
We want Michael Jackson at 52 to reinvent himself. We want him to come out of being Mike and do something else, because that's what he does. And we're just expecting that. We didn't even create. We didn't even have anything to do with what he created.
Right.
To gain an expectation. And I'm saying this for the case of Michael. Yes, of course. For a person like Michael to have that pressure on him when he created what he is, he's the one who went into rehearsal and copied James. Well, he's been doing James Brown. James Brown was in his blood.
Right.
So he created this Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he's so awesome at it that now we're looking for more. Like he's a drug. He's like crack. Now we want him to change it and turn into green. Can you make it brown?
Right.
Get off the stage.
Land on one toe? You've been landing on two toes for 30 years. We want to see you get on one toe.
Just one this time.
You're going to add the back flip
You're
to
going to put the glitter in your hair. We want the rhinestones in your hair this time.
Right. I mean, but
we want the hair to whip and slow motion.
You're talking about
that moonwalk different. He never did.
He did it the same way every
Just
time.
not doing it the way he's lost it.
So are we talking about evolution versus reinvention, or is there an intersection of the two? Or
It's an intersection.
Yeah, I was making light.
It's tough for an artist. That's why I said, does it matter if Troop releases new music?
Right.
You know, like Alan said, we're gonna release new music. We're gonna create, but for the consumer, they really love All I Do Is
Think of You, right? Spread My Wings, Sweet November, right?
We're still in love.
Still in love?
Really my song.
We just did Dallas, Texas, right? We just did
We
Dallas,
did the
Texas.
music already.
And we tried to get off stage without doing Spread My Wings.
Oh, no.
Dallas, Texas had a problem.
Yeah, they didn't
like
They
that.
said no.
Oh, no.
Y'all cannot leave the
said
stage
no.
without doing that.
You're right. You're right.
And they wanted
Oh,
it
man.
without the track.
Right,
without,
right.
Hear it,
They
regardless.
just wanted to hear it.
Oh, wow.
That's what they came to hear.
Right.
It's like,
That's what it is.
you know, it's tough. It's tough. It's on the art, from the artist side, it's tough, you know. Like, New Edition seems to be the only entity that can get away from people's expectations. We expect New Edition to be New Edition and nothing more.
Right.
But we want somebody as great as Michael Jackson to change his Jerry curl. You get what I'm trying to say? But we never expect Michael Bivins or Ronnie DeVoe to be different than Ronnie DeVoe. We love Ronnie DeVoe so much we can't wait to see him being him.
Right. And I think
Bigger
part
than
of
Michael Jackson.
I think part of that is because in all of their iterations, it always went back to the core of New Edition.
Man.
As a group. And then we actually saw that when they came out with Boyz II Men, we actually were firsthand witnesses of that evolution. So when that album dropped, it made complete sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think the audience just said, okay, bet. We're there.
Right. We got you.
We with
No,
that.
we did.
We got you.
We with
Yeah.
that.
Right.
We with that. Yeah.
They added
Yes.
Johnny Change, like you said, they leveled up in that, bringing that there.
Yeah.
And people, the audience,
But-
me
but
included.
even with Johnny Gill was what everybody talking about right now as far as changing. That was their invention with Johnny
Yeah,
Gill.
definitely,
so you're right.
definitely.
They did
reinvent.
They did it.
Yeah,
too.
they did reinvent.
Wow.
That was reinvented.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
You're right, they did reinvent.
Right.
They sure did.
You know, I could sit here and
sure did.
talk
That was
music
But that was
all
playing
day.
the board.
Yeah.
But
What move do we make now?
Yep.
right, so you know, this is a discussion that we could have pretty much all day because you know, listeners aren't really privy to these types of conversations, and from my standpoint, it's always great to talk with people who are immersed into music as far as being more than performers, because you know that's pretty much where I live. I'm in the best of both worlds to where I know how the sausage is made. I've made the sausage, and I can also sell it. So conversations like this, I love having.
And you know they're making it sell it. You know how it tastes too.
Right. I know how
You tasted it first.
Right. So I'm doing the taste test.
They gave you goosebumps, so now that you went on to try to pay everybody else, now they got goosebumps.
Exactly. So, fellas, this has been a pleasure. Again, it is great to see you guys again after 30 years.
Same here, man. It's the same here. Good to be seen, man.
And again, if you get a chance to get here tonight, make sure you do that. Where can folks follow you on your socials?
Well, you can follow us on Instagram at Official Troop. Individually, you can follow me at Stephen Russell Hartz, HARTSS, and also at Steve He Rich on Instagram.
Now, this is Alan. You can follow me on Facebook, Alan Almac McNeil, and check out www.67kings.com. Merchandise for you. You might want to really check that out. There's some cool stuff on there. And you can catch me on Instagram at alanmcneil.3.
You can catch me at, this is John. You can catch me on Facebook, John Solo Project, finally. And there's Team John. And then also, we have some fan pages on Facebook as well, as We Love Troop in all capital letters. Then you have Troop, Total Respect of Other People.
Yep.
And you can email me at JOHN of troop at yahoo.com. I'll get right back with you.
Mine is simple as hell, man. My name, Rodney Benford. I mean, Facebook, wherever, Instagram, and Rodney of Truth. And you can find me. Simple.
There you go. Fellas,
for
again,
having us.
it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for having us, man.
You've been listening to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and not reflective of any business entity or anyone associated with this broadcast. If you have any comments or want more information on how to be a sponsor, log on to our website at markgunmedia.com or call us at 502-407-0283. That's 502-407-0283. Thank you for listening.
Mark Gunn Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.